know, Urban Woman is proudly sponsored by Checkers Foods Kawi Park. Welcome back to Urban Woman, by the way, only on the airwaves of Radio Al-Ansar International. We also welcome our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Remember, if you have any questions around overeating, because that's what we're talking about, natural foods that you can actually enjoy to curb overeating and control your appetite. And as I was saying, Urban Woman is proudly sponsored by Checkers Foods Kawi Park. And yesterday I enjoyed. They make like the fresh pancakes, so yummy with that little bit of sugar and cinnamon, and it's just 5 rand. So I got to eat that. But now we're going to be talking to a dietitian, and she's going to be telling us some wonderful foods that we can actually eat, and also understanding ourselves more when it comes to hunger. Where is that coming from? So in today's fast-paced world, let's face it, that with the stress and convenience, it often does dictate our eating habits, and overeating has sadly become a very common challenge. So whether it's reaching for snacks out of boredom, or eating too quickly, or simply just not feeling full after a meal, many of us struggle to keep our appetites in check. So we're going to be chatting right now to Sister Faiza Laher, who is a registered dietitian, media spokesperson, mom of 3, and colorful brain behind Dietitian Eats. And Sister Faiza is a Johannesburg-based dietitian who's passionate about helping women, mums, and students build a healthy, vibrant lifestyle, one delicious meal at a time. And from the hospital ICU to school lunch boxes, she blends clinical expertise with everyday practicality, making nutrition simple, fun, and doable for real people. I like that. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Faiza, and welcome back to Urban Women this wonderful morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me on this morning.
It's an absolute pleasure. I think this is something we all struggle with. And eating, we go to it because, sometimes we want to feel good. We feel like I deserve this right now. But I think it's so important to understand and we have a balance with things. So overeating, as I mentioned, it is a challenge for many of us. So how can someone actually start recognizing the difference between true hunger and emotional or habitual eating?
So true hunger is very physiological. It builds gradually, and it's often accompanied by physical signs like your stomach rumbling, lightheadedness, or even feeling very low in energy or fatigued. And it's the body's natural signal that it needs some fuel. Emotional and habitual eating, on the other hand, is very psychological. And it tends to come on suddenly, and it's tied to maybe a specific craving. So often for something high in sugar or high in fat. And it's usually not relieved even after eating. So there's a key difference. Real hunger is satisfied with a nourishing meal, and emotional hunger usually isn't. You can, if you're having a bad day, sometimes you can even finish and
Getting a bit stuck here. I wanted to hear that. We're having a bad day, can often finish. What? Okay.
Is really to.
Okay, we kind of bounced there, so we missed your whole part
now?
about it. Yes, now we can hear you. Please, can you just repeat that? You said if we're having a bad day, we can often finish a what? I was so keen to hear that. Just there we lost you.
Are we back?
We are back.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so one helpful tool is to pause and to rate your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're closer to 3 or 5, so mildly hungry, then it's really true hunger. And if you're closer to 6 or 7, but still reaching for food, it may be driven by boredom, stress, or maybe even a habit. So it's very important to acknowledge that the food often serves as a psychological purpose, especially in women. It can be tied to comfort, self-care, or even a poor routine. And the goal isn't to shame emotional eating, but to build awareness around it so that you can become more conscious, have more conscious choices. Not use it as a coping mechanism.
Absolutely. Awareness that's where your power is, because if you're not aware, then how do you know what needs to change? What are some of the simple ways that women can actually incorporate more fiber into their daily meals, especially when they're short of time?
So fiber is one of the most under-consumed nutrient among women, and it's so crucial for blood sugar regulation, for satiety, for digestion, for hormonal health, and even for lowering our cholesterol. So when fiber enters the digestive system, it really sort of puffs up and it sort of becomes into like a gel, right? Especially when you're drinking water or fluids with it, and that's how it gives us that satiety or that feeling of fullness. So to make it practical, I always say one simple fiber-rich action per meal. So at breakfast, it could mean switching from a refined cereal to something more higher in fiber. The easiest one to go for is oats, or we all know all bran. You can even add chia seeds or berries to yogurt. That's another option. But at lunch, choose a whole grain carbohydrate. So a whole wheat wrap, a whole wheat slice of bread, if it's a sandwich, or maybe even, some basmati rice can also contribute to fiber in our diet. And then adding legumes or chickpeas or lentils to our salads and our stews. You don't need a fancy supplement to meet your fiber needs. You just need a mix of that soluble fiber, insoluble fiber from fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and hydration is very important. So fiber without water can really worsen bloating or constipation.
It's interesting that you mentioned chia seeds because a comment comes through here from Sister Mubina. She says, Assalamu alaikum. Can you ask about chia seeds for dieting? Does it make you lose weight?
No. So it's not going to make you lose weight. Chia seeds is a great source of something we call soluble fiber. So soluble fiber, when it enters the digestive system, it becomes like a gel. And you can try this out by adding a quarter teaspoon of chia seeds into like maybe a half a glass water, and notice what happens with it. It becomes, almost like jelly. So using chia seeds to lose weight is not a good way or modality to lose weight. You really want to look at your entire diet, your entire day. What's your routine like? Do you exercise? Where are you faltering in terms of your eating? And then you can use chia seeds to add on some fiber into your diet, but it's not going to help you in the long run to lose any weight.
Everything is so holistic. Hey, I wish there was a quick fix, honestly, but it always brings us back to holistic lifestyle and holistic living. Protein, we know, is actually known, shall I say, to keep us feeling fuller for longer. Can you explain, please, why this is the case, and also how much protein women especially should include into their meals?
So protein plays such a multi-layered role in our body, and it doesn't just keep us full. It's involved in blood glucose regulation, tissue repair, immune function, enzyme production, or even hormone synthesis. So from a satiety point of view, protein reduces the hunger hormone ghrelin and increases our satiety hormones like GLP-1. I'm sure you've heard about that. And it makes it easier to naturally eat less without feeling deprived. And let me tell you, most women don't eat enough protein. Most women I meet don't even eat breakfast. So what you want to really do is aim for around 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. And over 40, you need to tie that in with resistance training exercise. This can be 2 eggs at breakfast. It can be, lentils. It can be fish. It can be chicken. There's so many ways for us to get our protein into our diet and really distribute it evenly throughout the day. And you'll notice how you'll feel fuller. Your cravings will be less. You'll lose a little bit of weight perhaps. So really try and see how can you hit your protein target before we use, supplements like chia seeds and diet pills, etc., for weight loss.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm laughing because you said 2 eggs, and my listeners, they really pay attention. And when I meet them, they say, you know what? There's somebody in my office that does exactly like you. She says, I've got to have my eggs because eggs have everything. I don't know what it actually contains, but I just know have your eggs and you're getting what your body needs. And here you are mentioning it. So I'm just thinking about the listener that said that they started to do that. Now, you also mentioned lentils. For some women that perhaps suffer with digestive issues, is there a specific way that they can then prepare these lentils or the beans in order to make it easier for them to digest?
Definitely. So key is in preparation. Soak your dried lentils or legumes for 8 to 12 hours. Actually reduces something in the beans called oligosaccharides, and this is the fermentable carbohydrates that's responsible for the gas and the bloating. The other thing you can do is rinse your canned legumes, especially if it's canned, and rinse it properly. Will help quite a bit. Cook them with gut-soothing spices like cumin, ginger, fennel, or hing can improve tolerance. And your portion size is really important. So if you don't usually have any legumes and now you want to start including more legumes, please don't go through and eat a whole can tonight. Start with a quarter cup serving at a time and gradually build it on. Pair your legumes with cooked vegetables or whole grains or rice just to reduce the impact on that gut microbiome, and chew thoroughly. That's often overlooked actually. Helps to initiate those digestive processes and reduce the bloating and the gas.
Absolutely. I'm a slow eater. And every time I always heard in my life that, oh, we eat so slowly, you can never gain weight. I'm just like, you hear all of these kind of things. But I think it's important that we chew our food properly for digestion, as you mentioned. Now, Sister Faiza, let's face it, especially in this time of the year, but I don't think it's specifically. I just think it's more this time when the cold is, or the nippiness is coming in. Then many of us suffer with sweet cravings, right? That sweet tooth comes in, especially I think women go through it during PMS or maybe high stress days. So talk to us about dark chocolate, because we heard that that's the better option, and how can we then indulge without overdoing it?
So cravings definitely do tend to be worse in winter, also because majority of us tend to be a little bit more dehydrated. We're a little lazy to drink water in winter because also, going to the toilet, making wudu, things like that. So if you're dehydrated, your cravings are going to be worse. So be mindful about that, right? Use like herbal teas or slightly warmer water to make sure you get your fluids in. But cravings, especially during PMS or high stress periods, are the body signal that it needs extra nourishment, particularly magnesium, which plays a role in muscle relaxation, energy production, and mood regulation. So dark chocolate is naturally rich in magnesium, and small amounts can genuinely help to ease irritability, headaches, and cravings. So how do you do it? You want to include your chocolate immediately after your meal. So a small portion. So if you look at some of the bars, the cubes are slightly bigger. That's going to be your portion size immediately after lunch or immediately after supper. Not on its own with a cup of tea or coffee, because you're not going to stop at one cube. The idea is to pair it with your meal, so your blood glucose reaction to that chocolate is not as drastic as it would have been if you ate the chocolate on its own. So pair it with something, just so that it's sort of included, you feel more satisfied, and have your chocolate on the table after the meal. Enjoy it. Don't have it while you're running out to fetch the kids or at the computer, because we're looking for that mind and gut connection, especially with the sweet treat. So include it, but how you're going to include it is so important.
That makes so much of sense, because I have to say that I try very consciously to live in the present and enjoy whatever I'm doing. And I often say, even if it's that cup of tea, so as you're saying, have that piece of chocolate there and enjoy it. So be present when you're having it. So I think that will help to actually satisfy you. And then, because if you're doing something mindlessly, then you're not getting the satisfaction. Then you're going to overdo it, and that's where the overindulging could come in. Are there any other natural alternatives to sugary snacks that can actually satisfy the cravings and also support our energy levels?
Yes, so my go-to these days is apple slices and peanut butter, or apple slices with tahini. My children love dates with almond or peanut butter. We don't do it often because dates on their own are so nutritious. I really believe that's the way we should be enjoying them. Then something else you can do is a small portion of a smoothie made with banana, cocoa powder, and yogurt, and then frozen berries blended into like almost like a sorbet type of a thing, with a scoop of protein powder into that, or even cottage cheese, makes it very creamy, almost like a really great sorbet that you can enjoy. It's quick, doesn't take a lot of space in the freezer, so that's also great. And all of these snacks will give you sustained energy and reduce your blood sugar roller coaster and give you that satisfaction that you're looking for without any rebound cravings.
Well, I'm so glad. My daughter, she insists on having her peanut butter with the apple. She said, I can't have apple without mom. So then I give it to her. Something that I also enjoy is dipping. If I'm having that craving, almonds just dipped with a little bit of honey, and then I just thoroughly enjoy that. What are your top 3 daily habits that you can share with us women that we can adopt in order to reduce overeating and also build a healthier relationship with food?
Okay, so number one is eating with presence. We live such rushed lives, and many women eat standing in the car while driving, multitasking. Please just simply sit down to eat at the table, take a few mindful breaths before eating, and also make sure that you're nourishing your body properly. Then my second tip is to structure your meals. So a lot of women pack great lunch boxes for their kids, but they don't plan any lunch meals or snack meals for yourself. So try and get into the habit of maybe packing yourself a small lunch container. Balance your meals and space them consistently throughout the day so that you prevent those dips in energy, and make sure that your snacks and your meals have a protein, they have a fiber, a small portion of fat, and also a carbohydrate. And then you
I
want to
like
name,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I mean, so many women, and we're so used to even our mothers being always on the run, always in the rush. Slow it down, okay? And then name
Absolutely.
your hunger. So every time
Okay.
you eat for food, ask yourself, am I hungry, physically hungry, or is it just emotional eating, or am I just bored? So label the feeling so you can regain control over that action of eating. And when true hunger comes in, honor it without guilt. And that's what really a healthy relationship with food looks like.
Sister Rashida Ahmed, she says, Jazakallah so much for the tips and the ideas, giving us a thumbs up, and also Raj and Naidu also being part of the comment side. So I want to say thank you so much. As an NLP life coach, we often say, identify your emotion and name the emotion. Now I've learned something new. Name your hunger. Thank you so much. That will definitely bring more awareness and consciousness to our hunger, and then it will guide us how we should eat accordingly. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you this morning, Sister. And thank you also for reminding us that as moms, we'll take the extra effort to prepare those wonderful lunch boxes, be creative, and add such a variety to our kids' lunch boxes, but we often neglect ourselves. And honestly, if we're not functioning optimally and fully energized, then how can we fully show up for them? So remember, mums, pack those snacks, healthy snacks, and those wonderful lunch boxes for yourself as well. Be mindful in your eating, name your hunger, and nourish yourself with the proper foods. That's what we're going to take away from today's interview. Until we connect again, we thank you once again for your time. And until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
And that was Sister Faiza Laher, a dietitian, sharing with us such wonderful, practical mindfulness all around eating so that we can save ourselves during winter. Not to say go cold turkey, deprive yourself. No, moderation, balance, awareness, that's where your power lies. And inshallah, when summer comes in, we're still in tip-top shape. Let's go for a break. It's your Urban Woman Show with me, Razia.